Mark in Roswell, Georgia. Hey, Mark, I used to live in Roswell, Georgia. How you doing?
Hey, hi. Tom, it's an observation of mine, and my wife can't really understand what this fiscal stuff is about, but basically, quickly to try to say, there's still about 55 or so of those Tea Party nuts in the House of Representatives, and some of them that are in the Senate, too.
Right.
And they cannot accept that Barack Obama got reelected, and popularly, too.
Right.
I think what it is, I tried to tell my wife, is that these guys are basically on strike. They're saying, I'm not going to work. I told my wife, you go to your job, and your boss, after you get there an hour, says, aren't you going to work today? And you say, no. And then he says, why? And you say, because things aren't perfect. And so I think that they are willing to drive the thing off the cliff, if you want to call it that, and take a chance on wrecking whatever there is about America that can be wrecked, because they want to start it up in their new image.
Yeah.
And the thing is I think this is a constitutional crisis. I hope I'm wrong. We had a chance to vote these guys out, didn't do it, because I know some people who vote for people like that. Mm-hmm. There's two things that you can do that I know of. One, you can have a recall election. The other, maybe not possible, but maybe impeach these guys and remove them, have new elections.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, we can't impeach members of the House of Representatives because the House of Representatives is who does the impeaching. And they're arguably not committing any crime by, having their political loyalties be wherever they happen to be. I think the biggest problem that we have is that our media is not accurately reporting that. People don't really realize what these guys are up to. They let them go on TV all the time and just lie through their teeth, and nobody calls them on it. So, but I think the bigger problem that we have here, Mark, is, this was my rant yesterday about Billionaires, is that there is a group of very wealthy, very powerful individuals and some very large transnational corporations. A quarter of the most profitable corporations in America pay no taxes whatsoever. The individuals, by and large, are paying, like Romney, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15% maximum income tax. And they can do very well with or without the United States. They don't need average working people. They don't care. They don't need us as consumers anymore. We're pretty much tapped out as consumers. We've been wiped out. I mean, we've lost the equity in our homes.
Tom, I'm watching CNBC right now, and I'm watching what the Dow's doing and all that, and it's not selling off. If the people in the markets, they say, oh, the markets. But you remember back in 2008 and 9 when they said, no, let it collapse. And you remember the stock market sold off hundreds of points a day, 500, 700, 800. Yep. And then they got the message. Nothing's really happening in the markets. It's a buying opportunity.
Yeah, and arguably, I think that what's going on is that we have successfully, and I use that word advisedly, we have successfully made the transition from a society that is largely a we society where we're all in it together to a far more stratified society where you've got the people who are making money on money and who are making money on the stock market, living in a world that's independent of that, of the people who are, living from hand to mouth, or people who are, having to work 3 jobs to maintain a decent standard of living, or the people who are, hoping that unemployment doesn't get cut at the end of the year.
You and say, and then I'm going to, close. But what I'd like to say is the good thing about the election is that all the people that these people on the right wrote off as unimportant, that they have no guts, that they wouldn't. They got out there and stood in lines and waited to vote, and gave Obama a substantial victory in
the Democrats
the
too.
Electoral College count and the popular count.
Yep.
And these guys are shocked to no end. And this is what we're going to have to do as people.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all, Mark. And Mark, thank you very much for the call. But apropos of your point, I see 2 things going on here. One is this billionaire stand. And it's not just in the United States. I mean, some of these people live part-time in Europe or in South America or in Hong Kong or whatever. They can live anywhere in the world. I mean, we're talking about people who are wealthy beyond anything that you or I could ever imagine. And they have succeeded by virtue of making sure that John Roberts and Sam Alito got on the Supreme Court to empower Clarence Thomas and Anthony Scalia and drag along, this poor schlub Anthony Kennedy. They have succeeded in changing the basic nature of our Constitution, of our system of government, so that now the very wealthy and powerful can own politicians. And they don't even have to own them by virtue of giving them money, helping them get elected. They can own them by virtue of terrifying them. That's the more frequent way. You've got Republicans right now who are looking over their shoulders. Literally every Republican in the House of Representatives and a third of the Republicans in the Senate, they're looking over their shoulders right now, afraid that the Koch brothers or Shelley Adelson or some other, cranky billionaire is going to fund a hard right, a Tea Party challenge to their incumbency in the primaries coming up a year and a half from now or a year from now. I mean, it's that close. The House of Representatives is reelected 100% of it every 2 years. 1/3 of the Senate is up for reelection every 2 years. And they know that if these guys come in and just drop the bomb on them, they're toast. So they're going to toe the line. What we have is this perpetual campaign. All of these Republican members of the House and Senate, and not a insignificant number of Democrats as well, but mostly the Republicans. There are some Republicans who have absolutely safe seats and they just, they can have a little bit of integrity. A little bit. Olympia Snowe, maybe. And there's, certainly a fair number of Democrats who are just, the people solidly are with them. The Raul Grijalvas and the Jan Schakowskis and the Sherrod Browns of the world. And the Bernie Sanders, an independent. But on the Republican side, it is Hunter S. Thompson territory. I mean, it is fear and loathing in Las Vegas all over again. They are scared to death of the billionaires. And if we don't do something to change that in the next 2 or 3 years, then our economy is going to collapse. And there will be revolutionary change in the United States. And we will flip either in the direction of a heavily authoritarian state, a Mussolini's Italy, or in the direction of a far more progressive state. We're either going to look like Sweden today or we're going to look like Italy in 1934. But it is not going to stay like this. It can't. It's a house of cards. It's fundamentally undemocratic, small d. It is a broken system. Elizabeth Warren won her Senate seat, beat Scott Brown, who really was very, very effective at pulling the wool over people's eyes. Never even used the word Republican in his campaign. Didn't have the word Republican on his signs, on his website, and yet he voted with the Republicans almost every single time. He was there for them when they needed him. He is the go-to guy for Wall Street. She beat him by coming right out and saying, in fact, we've got the sound clip of it around here someplace, coming right out and saying, the system is rigged. I got some news for you here. The system is rigged. Here it is. Here's Elizabeth Warren.
People feel like the system is rigged against them. And here's the painful part. They're right.
She's right. And that can't stand for long. I was talking with Richard Wolff last night, the professor of economics out of New York. I believe he's, I forget which university he teaches at, so I'm not going to name it because I'd probably get it wrong. But in any case, he's a brilliant guy. He's the author of a number of books. He's been on this program a number of times on the radio show. He was on our TV show last night. And I said, it looks to me like something's going to pop. Like this is, the darkest before the dawn. What maybe a better metaphor is the 9th month of pregnancy. And what do you think? And he said, he quoted some Russian philosopher or economist, and he said, for decade after decade after decade, it looks like nothing is changing and nothing is changing and nothing is changing, and then all of a sudden, in a few years, decades worth of change happens, and that's what he's expecting, and that's what I'm expecting. It's what I've been. Those of you who've been listening to this program for years, I've been talking about this for some time. And not like, I've been predicting the end of the world for, I mean, basically about a year and a half, 2 years, I've been saying, we're now at the point where Reaganomics has gone so far, it has become a cancer, both on democracy and on our economy.